All right, so we start episode 6, titled Yesterday's Castle, with the Hyperion just flying through space. Not much is going on. You guys are moving your way through the Delta Quadrant. And our very first scene will take place in the mess hall. So we have no log this time. We're just going to start right in the mess hall. And I have all of you assembled because Seagal has actually called most of the crew here into the mess hall. He's actually arranged an eating contest. And as everyone's sitting at their tables, you can see he's bringing out large numbers of dishes and laying them out. And it's all hot dogs. And after he brings them out, Seagal turns. He's got that look of intensity that he always carries. All right. So here's the eating contest rules. You get 20 dogs. The first person that eats all 20 wins. Any questions?
I have one, Mr. Seagal.
He turns slowly. Yes, Captain.
Where did you get this many hot dogs?
It's an important question, Captain. The better question is, how am I going to get rid of all these hot dogs? Isn't it?
I think Nyx is kind of like leave her mouth like half open as she tries to process that and thinks better of it and just sort of shakes her head and I guess looks at the plate of hot dogs in front of her.
And he has literally brought for each one of you guys 20 hot dogs. So there are just hot dogs everywhere.
He'll put his hand up.
He looks around. Now anyone can forfeit before we get started, if you're a coward.
Mr. Seagal, what about condiments? What are we talking about here?
He looks at you. What's wrong with you, Lieutenant?
With me, I like a good dog with ketchup and mustard.
That's not what this is about. This is a contest of strength and fortitude. The honor of your ship is at stake, and you want ketchup.
Okay.
To like from where you're seated, you're sort of more towards the middle and the back, but your hot dogs you can smell, they smell like they might be made out of some kind of meat. And I don't know if you've ever established if Talek is a vegetarian or not.
I'm just waiting. I was gonna wait until we started and I was just not gonna have any. Tilek is just sort of watching for right now because I don't know that he has interacted too greatly with Seagal. So I don't know. I'll just wait and see what happens once he says go, what he does.
And EX33 floats over to you, Nyx, and he says, pardon me, Captain. A question.
Go ahead.
May I participate in this contest?
I mean, first instinct is to say yes, but I would question how you're supposed to gesticulate the hot dogs to begin with.
Oh, do not worry, Captain. I have a plan. And he materializes you have no idea what this is. It's a tool in the front of his, his body. He's got that forward replicator that Exocomps has, and he's replicated some kind of tool.
What have you made there, EX33? I don't quite recognize that tool.
This is a molecular processor.
An analog for a mouth.
Well, my thought was that I would deconstruct the hot dogs and then reconstitute their molecules back in the replicator.
That would probably be a better use for them than what Seagal has in mind. Sure, feel free to participate. I sort of motion over at Talek and I say, I have a feeling the commander isn't going to touch their plates, so you probably could go help them.
Oh, absolutely, Captain.
Yeah, he was going to wave EX33 over hearing that.
And 33 floats over there to Talek and lands with his little feet next to you on the top of the table. And he says, Commander, I have to ask, are these hot dogs a delicacy?
I mean, not where I come from, but I hear on Earth they are beloved.
Peskra has picked up one and he's kind of wiggling the hot dog and looking at it, trying to figure out exactly what it is.
So let me tell you a little
And then
about
he-
these hot dogs. They're very pink and they're wet. The buns that they're sitting are very dry, but they're the hot dogs that you've seen them before that are really, really pink. That's what they are.
Yeah, he sets it right back into the bun. Here, EX, if you need some more.
And Zach leans over to you, Alan, and he says, Lieutenant, I am looking forward to taking the record. Hope you do not mind if I defeat you soundly.
Out of the kindness of my own heart, I'm actually going to let you go first. I am skilled at eating hot dogs, as most humans are, so I'm just going to let you get a bit of a head start here, out of fairness.
I appreciate that, Lieutenant. However, if I'm going to win, I want it to be a fair contest.
Okay.
I promise I will only use one of my stomachs.
If you need any extra, I'm sure that's not going to be hard to find.
That is a joke,
And,
Lieutenant. Cations only have one stomach.
Alan's going to look down at his... Are they in like a little box or...
I think they're on a tray and they're stacked. There's 20 of them, so I imagine they have to be stacked in like a pyramid almost of just hot dogs.
I'll take a bite.
So as you go to take a bite, Alan Seagal, he hits like I would say he's got a big gong set up at this forward table, and he strikes the gong, and there's a loud sound as he issues the start of the contest. So anyone that would like to participate, the way we're going to do this contest is whoever gets 5 successes first wins. You'd be rolling
I
a
wanna
medicine fitness
participate.
check. There's no difficulty here, just how many successes you can get. You can buy extra dice if you want to roll more than 2, but each dice you buy is going to cost 2 stress. And you're doing a medicine fitness.
I was almost made for this contest.
Yeah, Tesla's going to dominate this.
I'll go for round one.
Would EX33 have medicine fitness though? I want to see EX33 go.
I don't even know if I made stats for EX33. Let me see and think about it.
EX33 has stats.
Oh, nice. Talek, what do you think
What do you wanna
33
do
would
for
roll?
that?
What do you think he would do?
I want to give him a chance and say engineering because it's a tool, but that's up to you.
He's basically going to vaporize some of them. But that's how he's going to
Yeah.
eat them. He's going to vaporize them and then reconstitute the molecules back in the replicator. So
It's very fancy.
I think engineering fitness is pretty fair.
So he has a fighting chance.
I think so. I don't think he has any focuses here, though.
No, I don't think so either.
Looking at you, Alan, I don't know if any of your focuses are going to survival, maybe?
How about a focus in xenobiology?
I think that could work for you, Tessera. Yeah, like how you're going to eat these hot dogs and keep them down. Yep.
And for me, it doesn't matter whether or not I have a focus because I have a medicine of 1.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm going to roll for round one, but this is a very tentative round one.
You can buy
Yeah, I'm
extra
not
dice.
gonna-
Remember, there's no cost apart from the stress cost. So you can buy, up to 5 dice as usual. They just each cost you 2 stress. If you run out of stress, you pass out from just overdoing it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna straight roll here. Oh, that's a very good start.
It's a good way to start.
Gonna have to give the captain a Heimlich maneuver.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Well, we all know how this session's gonna end.
Test
Oh my
Rose doing very well.
God.
Okay. Let me see how Zach's gonna do here.
2 20s. That is impressive.
So at the start, what happens is Tessera, you down one of the hot dogs, and you don't really see what the problem is. Just, in one gulp, it's no problem. You swallow it, and you remember reading something in some of your research that hot dogs come from Earth. They're made usually from pork products. It's usually some kind of meat with extra stuff, but Cardassians have an equivalent to something like this, and you've grew up eating this before. Maybe it's part of the rations that you guys would have on Cardassia, but it's not a problem. You eat the hot dog, grab the next one, eat that hot dog, and they're fine. In short order, you've made your way through 4 hot dogs with no problem. Off to the side while this is happening, EX33 leans forward, points the device at 2 of the hot dogs, and fires it, and it basically vaporizes them. Zach also just immediately grabs them and starts stuffing them in his cat-like mouth and just starts swallowing them whole. And Alan, as you see Zach do this, you notice like hair is flying in the air as he's just grabbing hot dogs and stuffing them, and you get violently ill. See, roll me a challenge dice. If you get an effect, that's very bad. You manage to keep your breakfast down. I don't think you've even eaten 1 hot dog, but you're starting to get kind of sick. So let's say, because you got 2 complications, I'm actually going to take 2 stress off of you for that. And for
Alan,
the next... Go ahead.
Alan is like trying to, he's definitely trying not to be sick in front of the rest of the crew. And now he's thinking of a way out. He's trying to not eat any more of these hot dogs without seeming like a total jerk.
And maybe if you were alone, like facing the wall, you could manage this, but just the way Zach is attacking these hot dogs, it's really disgusting. And the smell that's coming off this Cation eating the hot dog, it could be him, it could be the hot dogs themselves, or just because you've gotten so sick. It's, you turn very pale.
Real quick, am I rolling that as well?
I was gonna say with just 1 complication, let's roll a challenge dice for Nyx. Let's see what happens. Okay, not too bad. So Nyx, for you, what happens is you start to eat this hot dog, you examine it, you're like not so sure that you're going to eat it, and then you hear the and you look over and you see Alan turning several shades of paleness, and you kind of feel your gag reflex rising too, like you might actually vomit, but you just manage to bring it down, and you don't. Let's see.
This is going swimmingly.
I've got 2 successes for Tessera. Tessera is definitely in the lead. This is no problem for him. And then I've got EX33 and Zach tied for second. If anyone would like to go again, it is a medicine fitness. And again, you can buy more dice if you'd like. Tessera, 2 more.
Yeah, I'll try it for shits and giggles. Why not?
He's gonna get up, and clearly he's looking worse for wear. And he's gonna turn to the captain and say, "Oh, Captain, I forgot you needed those duty rosters ASAP. Oh, I'm gonna go and get those done for you right away. Oh."
Good on you, Mr. Allen. Continue on.
And he runs. Full-on sprints out of the room.
Alan, since you got up and you started running, give me a medicine fitness. I'm going to say a difficulty of 2. I think survival would actually apply here. When you stand up, you feel your stomach kind of drop, but you remember your training, particularly your 0G training, about how to manage a situation where you really feel like you're going to lose your stomach. And you take a deep breath, you ball your toes and your hand together, you pinch that area between your thumb and your index finger, and you run out the door just in time, away from the smell of hot dogs and the Cation just destroying them. And you take a deep breath and you feel fine.
I'm still unsure about what that was. I'm immediately going to sickbay.
So while all that's happening, let's see, Tessera, you just down more hot dogs. This is no problem. You don't really see what the big deal is. And at the same time, next to you, Telek EX33 uses that tool that he's built and just vaporizes more hot dogs. Nyx, actually, with Alan gone, you take a look at these hot dogs and no problem at all, and you down several with no issue whatsoever. But across the room, Zach has gotten into a rhythm. He's grabbed more hot dogs and he's just stuffing his face. Leader so far is Tessera. Tessera's got 4, followed by Zach, and then tied for third now is EX33 and Nyx. Tessera is on fire. Okay, get you 6.
Yeah,
Well, I
he's
think
killing
Tessera
it.
wins then, because that's 6 for him overall.
He's got to get 10, but I'd say after this round, if no one else does very well, we'll probably just give it to him.
I thought you said 5 successes.
Yeah, I
was
was
the
gonna
win.
say I thought
Yeah,
I
it
heard
was 5.
too.
Oh, well, maybe I did say
But
5.
I'm gonna see
Well,
what
yeah.
EX33
Yeah.
does if I try to give him more. Nope. A try, an attempt.
A tie
Yeah,
is
I think the
possible. So
captain is.
if someone manages to get 6 successes, you'd tie with Tessera. So
Yeah, the captain would have to get 4 successes. I think she's just not gonna hedge her bets, and she's just gonna concede.
let's see what Zach's got.
Nope.
So Tessera, you again down the rest of your hot dogs. You have a completely empty tray across from you. EX33 has kind of gotten a rhythm down. He disintegrates more hot dogs. And Zach has to pause for a moment. He puts his hand to his chest and he says, "Oh, I may have eaten too many of the little hot dogs. Captain, request permission to go to sick bay."
Yep, go ahead.
And he leans up and he kind of staggers a little bit and he puts a hand on your shoulder to help hold him up. He says, "Sorry, Commander, the deck plating seems to be shaking considerably."
Is it?
No, it's just him.
Do you need any help to get over to sick bay?
No, Commander, no trouble. It will just take me a moment. And he manages to make his way out the door. Yeah, Seagull, he walks over to you, Tessera, to your table. He looks down at your tray and shakes his head. He says, "That's a powerful victory. Good job."
Yeah, I thought it would be best to participate, even though it wasn't necessarily something I find amusing.
He looks around everyone else. "Now to the rest of you. I'm a little disappointed. Consider this a hot dog training exercise, and you all failed. You never know when you'll be in a situation where you'll need to survive off of hot dogs."
I
Have
think
you had to survive a hot dog related emergency before?
Absolutely. Back in the Dominion War, my ship was disabled, and we had to survive the entire crew off of one hot dog.
Then shouldn't we have practiced eating few hot dogs?
This is a progression, Commander. Step 1, how many can you eat? We'll get to that point.
Ezra sees this as an opportunity for fun, so he reaches over to EX's plate, grabs one of the hot dogs out of EX's bun, and tosses it at Nyx.
All right. I mean, I'm probably just gonna swat it out of the air.
What's the goal? You want to hit Nyx with it?
Yeah,
or
he just wants to try to hit Nyx with the hot dog. He's heard of food fights before.
Give me a security control. I guess it's like a range combat, difficulty 2.
Yeah, I'm not very good at this. I do not have hot dog projectiles as a focus, so
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So Nix, what happens? He obviously doesn't hit you.
I think I just sort of lean slightly to the left, and it just soars past me. And I say, Commander, I don't know why we're throwing food around here, but I think you're just making more work for Seagal to pick up all this nonsense.
It seemed in the spirit of the contest.
As the hot dog goes and it lands somewhere over here, Nix, EX33 rises off the table, flies over, and vaporizes the hot dog on the ground.
Thank you, EX33. Well,
And-
Mr. Seagal, this was a thing. I'm going to return to the bridge for the time being.
Just as you say that, you get a chime on your communicator, Nix.
This is Nix. Go ahead.
Captain, this is Lieutenant Commander Adari. We've got a Class M planet that just popped up on our sensors. A little unexpected.
Now, when you say popped up, are we talking rogue planet, or are we talking just long-range sensors found one?
Well, long-range sensors detected an area of space that we hadn't previously detected a system at all, but it looks like a system with a star. It's not a rogue planet, but it's not, it wasn't on our scans before.
Approximately how far away is it?
At our current speed, we'll enter the system in approximately 10 minutes.
All right, well, senior staff, let's get to the bridge.
Everyone's been here for a minute. Alan, you managed to make your way to your console. The doctor gave you a quick injection to help you with digestion. And you don't feel 100% necessarily, but you feel like you can go back to duty.
I think I more complained. I just needed someone to complain to.
As you guys all arrive on the bridge, Adari moves, and that set of junior officers move to make way for you all to sit at your stations. And on this view screen, you see a Class M planet.
Mr. Chisara, do you have any theories as to how we missed this initially?
Not 100% sure, Captain, but I'm starting to run scans on it now.
Tester, let's do the old reason science check. In this case, it's actually going to be a difficulty of 2, but the ship can assist you with a sensor science. Actually, with your sensor suites, let's reduce that to a 1.
Okay.
I'll grab the ship.
And Tester, you do have a focus here.
Okay. Oh, thank God for the... Oh, no, the ship doesn't help.
Yeah, you got to get
In that
at
regard.
least one success.
I got to get at least one.
Oh, it could have.
Yeah,
Having some...
I'll give you the
Having
very
some
basic.
difficulties.
I'll give you the very basic information that like Tessera, if he's conscious, could know this. It's a Class M planet, very obviously. It's a dwarf planet, which is unusual. It's about the size of a large moon. Think like Pluto or one of Jupiter's moons. In fact, that's unusual. You don't normally see Class M planets this small. And other than that, the rest of there's really nothing else interesting in the system apart from the star, just a blue giant, nothing out of the ordinary. And there is an asteroid belt, but that's about it.
I believe due to the size of the planet, Captain, it was easily missed. Hidden by the asteroid field, and it is very small for a Class M. We may wish to launch a probe to get a little bit more information. I think I'm still getting a little bit of interference from the asteroids.
What are you trying to achieve by launching the probe? What more information do you want?
Oh no, that's just what he's suggesting, since he wasn't able to get the information himself.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's looking for another way to get the information that he did not succeed at.
Well, it would help if I wasn't muted. What are the asteroids made out of, Commander?
I think with 0 successes, Tessera, they're rocks. That's about all you got.
Rocks, Captain. I'm sorry. My stomach is a little just a little distracted. Sorry, Captain.
Well, if that's the case, said it was Class M. Remind me, any life signs that I should be made aware of?
So Tessera, I'll give you a bone here. I'll give you the answer to that question if I'll let you succeed at cost, but I will create a complication. Or you can try another roll, but I might up the difficulty here because you failed the last one.
I'll toss a roll.
Okay. Let's
Go ahead.
Let's do a difficulty 3, science reason in this case, and the ship can assist again.
Right, and because of everything that's going on, appearance is everything. So he is going to spend a determination.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there's your complication still.
But still 3 successes. Oh wow. Okay.
So that's a total of 4 successes.
4 successes. Okay, I forgot Hyperion. Cool. So you get 1 extra question, and I think you get 1 question for being a science officer.
Yeah, life signs first, and then the other question would be what is a good reason for this planet not to have shown up until now?
Sure. So the first answer to your question about inhabitants, there are exactly 154 beings on this planet. 150 are an unknown origin. Don't know what they are. Never encountered them before in the ship's computer, which is very unusual. There are also 3 humans and 1 Denobulan.
And pass that information on to the captain.
And for why
you can finish your spiel before I start asking questions.
Sure. And for why you couldn't detect it before, it's kind of a mystery. You start throwing out a sensor beam and maybe towards one of the rocks in the asteroid field, and you notice the sensor beam as it's going out comes back of the other side, let's say 180 degrees behind the ship. And then as you cast out another sensor beam, you start noticing a trend, as in it seems as though your sensor beams are being reflected back in a way. And then the computer begins to read this information. You do some more scans, and it looks as though the entire universe that the Hyperion exists in is a small bubble, probably 30 light years. So as you continue to shoot out a sensor beam, it hits the edge of this bubble, bends back around the other side, or comes around out the other side back towards you. So you don't necessarily know if the planet appeared or if you are now in some sort of different dimension in which the planet exists.
So first he passes on the life sign information, but then he's like, I believe that we may have entered into, well, the planet's existence rather than the planet just appearing. Hard to explain, but it feels like we've kind of entered into a snow globe, Captain.
Hmm. Odd that we didn't detect that sort of thing on our way here. Interesting.
Because of the way that the sensors are being refracted, it's quite possible that from the outside it was more bending the sensors off to the side, just enough that it made it so that we couldn't see.
Hmm. Well, a subspace bubble or a subspace node like this, or at least that's my prevailing theory. It's uncommon, but it is possible to have one this large. You said there were humans and denobulans on this planet.
Yes, and a bunch of life signs that we do not have any record of.
Well, let's open a hail and see if anyone answers.
Just for fun, let's see who would open the help. Alan, let's have you do this this role. Can you give me an engineering control, difficulty 2? And
Okay.
you don't have a focus. Sorry.
I'm not very good at this.
Just try your best.
So you start cueing in the hailing frequency, and you start to hear it sounds like a voice, and it's hard to make out what it is. It sounds like a male, and it cuts out.
Captain, I thought I had something there for a second, but I'm getting a lot of static.
Hmm. Can you pinpoint the cause for said static?
It seems like a very weak signal, sir.
Hmm. Do we
I'd
at least
like
have general
to-
coordinates? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to see if I can maybe troubleshoot the sensors at all to see if maybe that might be causing the interference.
So, Nix, as far as your question, you can't tell exactly where the communication was coming from, but I forgot one detail when I was telling you guys about the inhabitants. All of the people are located on one place on the planet, a coastal region. They're not spread out throughout the planet, which, even a small planet, 150 people could be spread out, but they're not. They're concentrated in one area. But
That's good to know.
you can do some engineering magic if you want to try to figure out what's going on with this system as far as interference, if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd like to.
I think that's probably an engineering reason. This is going to be difficult, though. This is going to be a difficulty of 4.
Uh, well, let me see. Give me 1 second. I actually don't have my quick reference document open, and I don't know why.
Anything that could help.
Okay, so I can roll. I probably do need help figuring this out. I can roll 3 because I know my ship. So that's a technical problem that I'm trying to figure out, but I guess I can just try with 3. We can see what happens. It's for fun. Applicable focus, emergency repairs.
Actually, I think
Is it an
improvisation.
emergency?
I think improvisation would work.
Improvisation, great.
So close.
Close, but no cigar.
I say I'm assisting by just essentially tuning the dial while she does the technical stuff.
Yeah, sure.
What was it? Engineering?
I think for
Reason,
you, it's
okay.
probably engineering control if you're going to assist that way.
Okay.
Hey, just what we needed.
So Talek,
Whatever you're doing seems to be working. I'm getting a better signal now, Captain.
with Alan's help, it looks like there's a lot going on here, and it's all starting at this one city on the surface of this planet. There is a deeply strong field that's being projected off of the surface from one location on the planet, and it's surrounding this entire immediate area. It's also creating a funky kind of radiation from the asteroid field on the outskirts of the system. But if you had to pinpoint where all this craziness is coming from, it's probably starting down there.
Well, seems we're gonna have to send an away team down. Commanders, do you think it's safe to beam down, or should we send a shuttle?
With all of the interference, I would recommend a shuttle, Captain.
Very good. Commander Talik, I'd like you and Commander Tassara, Mr. Allen, and let's see. To remember who I made. Take one other with you, preferably someone of the science persuasion.
Wait, I have Alan, I have Talek, and I have Tessera.
Mm-hmm.
And then one more miscellaneous person, whoever you want to take, ELH.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking through the supporting characters and I'm not seeing a science character. Why don't you take Harlock? That way you at least have a helm officer.
And moving
Understood, Captain. I'll get the shuttle ready to go.
right along, as the four of you get into one of the Hyperion shuttles, you get some few moments to check in and take any extra items that you'd like before you depart. Has anything special?
Nothing special here.
Take a Type 2 or Type 3 phaser, but I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I don't know that there's even cause for it at this point.
No.
Yeah, I don't think Harlock's bringing anything special.
Harlock, as you begin to lift or activate the shuttle engines, you get the clearance from the command tower that you are free to go. The tractor beam pulls you away from the back of the Hyperion. We get a nice shot in space of the shuttle gliding away from the ship, and you very easily wheel the shuttle down towards the planet. As you enter the upper atmosphere of the planet, though, the shuttle begins to shake, and you notice that something turbulent is going on in the atmosphere. Which, you know, I'm going to go with that. This is going to be a check. Let's do, for Harlock, let's do a con control here at difficulty of 3. You do have focus and helm operation. And let me see if I ever even made a shuttle. I did make a shuttle for a Hyperion. Cool. The shuttle can assist, let's say, with a con engines.
Do we have any momentum right now? It doesn't look like it.
Oh, hell no.
Of course not.
I can roll for the shuttle. I have it in front of me.
All right. Well, I think I'm just gonna roll it straight then.
That is
Nice.
one momentum. No worries, Harlock. You've got this all day. This is what you've trained for. And the shuttle shakes, throws everyone in the interior around a little bit, but you manage to compensate, and you're pulling down through the atmosphere. Where are you headed?
Well, I think I'm gonna ask that question of the higher ranked officers where to specifically head, whether it's for the source of the confusion or towards the life signs, because my understanding was those were two separate points on the planet.
Those are actually pretty close. I wasn't very clear about that. They are in the general vicinity.
All right. Well, then I put that forward to the command staff. And I say, where do you want me to set her down, sirs?
think about a click outside of the area where the civilization is. Would be best.
Yeah, just right outside. That way we don't upset them or scare them, I suppose, if they're not expecting us to come down.
You got it.
Give them a little bit of time to prepare.
And yeah, I think Harlock just sort of guides the shuttle down to a location about a click away from the settlement and does so without flying over the settlement proper. So that, if we needed to stealth, we could, but I don't know.
And you can all distantly see this location, this settlement, and it looks like a fairly nice. It's not. You would think for the 150 people, it would be like a small encampment or something with temporary structures. That's just not what this looks like at all. It's still very far in the distance, but it looks to be actually sturdy structures that have been built. And you can kind of see in the distance, it looks like they might be made out of stone, but it's far larger and more sophisticated than you would have expected.
Well, that's wonder what they used to build that.
Well, we'll possibly be able to ask them ourselves.
Well, you guys can easily exit the shuttle.
Yep. Get ready, head on out.
As you step out, the air is clean. The turbulence that you suffered when you were entering the atmosphere hasn't created, there's no kind of weather system or anything. It's just a nice, bright, sunny day. There are birds, twittering around. You've landed in a small clearing near a forest. The town is up to the distance. Actually, in all things considered, this wouldn't be a bad place to spend a shore leave.
I'll take the lead as we kind of push our way towards the village.
We have a montage of you guys making your way. It's one click, so it's going to take you a while to get there. You make your way through the forest. Again, it's very nice day. Are you going to enter the city, or did you want to observe it outside or anything like that?
Take a look at it from outside first, but probably going to be heading in very shortly afterwards.
Bringing this
Is there
up.
is there any evidence of like defenses, like weapon emplacements or like any sort of security, like a fence or a wall?
There's none at all. And in fact, you see several of the inhabitants walking around. No one's noticed you yet. They didn't notice your shuttle because of how Harlock brought you guys in, and you've been stealthily making your way up to the town itself. And there's no towers. There's no one you can see with any weapons or anything like that. As you've gotten closer, you've noticed the city does have a very medieval look. The buildings are very highly ornate. They have stained glass windows. If you had to guess, you'd guess this is probably early Renaissance-ish looking, before they've actually got lots of industrialization or anything like that. There is a large white tree in the center of a square, and people are just kind of going about doing their things. No one's noticed you at all. And you can tell from their garb, they're wearing, if you had to place it, it would probably be also medieval Earth-style clothing.
What do the inhabitants look like, since they were not human? Since there were only so many humans and a Denobulan.
They look human, but you're kind of far away still. There's a lot of races that look human until you get closer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The props department might have only made like a little attachment for their nose. We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's head in.
I'll leave my phaser on my hip. I won't draw it, and I'll take the lead just in case something goes wrong.
As you guys head in, several, as you've walked your way into the town, many of the inhabitants stop and stare at you, and many of them, like, their mouths kind of drop and they're conversing amongst themselves. You're drawing a lot of attention, especially because of your uniform stand out a lot. You can tell everyone looks mostly human. You don't see any distinguishing features, and in fact, Telek, you and Tessera particularly stand out a lot.
Can we tell approximately where the human and denobulan life sign is?
You'd have to do a scan for that.
I'm happy to do that.
All right. Telek, as you draw your tricorder to actually start the scan, a woman peels off from a group and she heads over to you very quickly. And she walks you to Telek and she says, "Put that away, put that away."
I'll very quickly put it away.
You are obviously newcomers here. She looks at all of you slowly and she says, "Well, what are you doing here? How did you arrive?"
Oh, we walked here actually.
And she sighs and she says, My name is Guinevere. Welcome to Glastonbury."
Well, thanks for the reception. Glad to be here.
The ones that came before you took a little more caution on standing out. Quickly, we must go indoors, but before the Protector finds you.
To the commanders.
Oh, you broke up there, Brad.
To the commanders.
Of course,
All right,
we'll
lead
definitely
the way,
follow.
Guinevere.
Guinevere starts motioning over. You're still drawing lots of views as people are stopping and staring at you, but she's motioning you towards one of the towers. As she's following, she's hurrying very quickly. And she's almost losing you guys, but she's very, she stops occasionally and looks back at you, and she walks inside of a structure. She just blazes right in. She doesn't motion for you to go. She goes in first.
Okay, follow her in.
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys walk in, you see 3 other figures there in addition to Guinevere, and they're turned. They're not looking to you guys at all. They're actually kind of huddled in a circle. And as you walk in, Guinevere, she kind of clears her throat, and they all turn and look at you. And standing there are 2 humans and a denobulan. They are wearing outfits very much like the other villagers, so they look like a medieval garb and everything. But as they turn, what immediately stands out is the 2 of them are human and the denobulan is the female. In the hands of the human in the center, he actually has a communicator that he'd been attempting to disassemble. But they all look up to you kind of with a little bit of surprise. And Guinevere says, "Miller, they just arrived not long ago. Did you perhaps call them from your ship?" And the one called Miller, she's obviously directing to the older one. He's a little taller, a little lankier. He's got a white beard with a little bit of his original coloring, but also quite a bit of white in his hair. And he says, "No, Guinevere, I did not call them at all." He looks at all of you in turn. Wow, this is quite a surprise. I'm going to take it from your badges that you're Starfleet. Might be dealing with some kind of time travel issue here.
Herlock sort of nods and says, "Yes, judging by your dress, we are several centuries ahead of what you are."
He says, "Well, Captain Jeffrey Miller, Starship Akagi."
Senior Chief Herlock, sir.
I think I'll bring out my tricorder and try to bring up information on the Akagi.
Commander Telek, USS Hyperion. How long have you been here?
Miller introduces his other officers. This is my Chief Engineer, Mr. Riley, and my Chief Counselor, Lieutenant Commander Zarya. We've been here almost a day. Yeah, certainly not long enough for Starfleet to adopt such snazzy uniforms, I would imagine.
A day? That... Are you able to contact your ship, Captain?
Mr. Riley says, well, we've been trying to, but we lost communication not too long ago. I detected some Klingon vessels in the area, and then, well, we really don't know what happened.
Harlock's gonna look to Sarah and say, "Sir, maybe you would be better explaining what sort of situation we're in than I would. I'm not that great with the science."
When you got here, did you detect anything strange about this planet and its surrounding areas?
And Miller says, well, strange is the order of the day, considering how we got here. A cat, actually, stowed away on our ship. That's right, a cat. And the cat turned out to be a entity, a creature, a person identifying themselves as Morgan Le Fay. She kind of lured us here asking for help. Since we got here, the inhabitants have kind of been torn on what they actually want from us. Morgan wanted us to actually liberate the inhabitants of this village from their protector, a man who's calling himself Merlin, if you haven't quite caught on to the analogy yet. Apart from being a harmless old man, we haven't really been able to figure out what Merlin is doing to these people. And so far as what's going on with my ship, I really don't know either. And then you appeared to add even more layers to this mystery.
We did not see your ship when we arrived. And judging by the way that you are all dressed, you have been here for some time. We believe that this is a type of subspace pocket of sorts.
And Alan, your tricorder gives you some information back. So the people's claim is most like all the information they've given you is correct. There was a USS Akagi, actually it disappeared in the year 2295. In case you forgot, the Hyperion is currently in 2381, so that's 86 years difference. But the Akagi was patrolling a distant area in the Beta Quadrant, very far from this area of space. She hadn't been out she'd shipped out maybe like a year before she disappeared. But she was captained by Jeffrey Miller, and there was a chief engineer named Riley, and there was a counselor on record named Zarya.
It's missing.
You broke up a little bit there.
And it showed the ship as missing?
Yeah, the ship went missing in 2295. There was no record of what happened to her. Never any record recovered. She just disappeared.
I will, I'll share that information with Commander Talek, but I won't say it out loud just yet because of the all the weird temporal issues that could come from them knowing that their ship went missing or all that stuff.
If we were to try to communicate with the Hyperion, would we be able to get through?
You haven't tried that yet.
I feel like the captain should know about this. So, I'm gonna try to call the ship and see if she can answer us or if we're really out of contact.
I'm going to spend 2 threat and create a complication here. When you tap on your comm badge to call into the ship, you just get static.
That's strange.
It is.
I'll tap my comm badge and try to get in contact with the shuttle.
You also get static.
Oh boy. Well, and I'll whisper this to the other three. From my time, well, at least we know that they're actually Starfleet, unless they're changelings. Or Harlock, did you eat any hot dogs?
No, I was on the bridge during your little thing in the mess hall. Why?
Okay,
I didn't have any either.
at least this isn't some sort of weird fever dream then. Hot dog inspired fever dreams are rare, but
Oh, Mr. Allen, I don't actually believe you finished a single dog, did you?
I got a bite down. That's. I look over my shoulder to make sure Seagal's not behind me. Those weren't really hot dogs. That's not a good representation of what a hot dog on Earth would be like. So I hope that doesn't spoil the experience. And then I check again.
And Zarya leans forward to Raleigh and she says, "Are they talking about hot dogs?"
Yeah, I think
Well-
they are.
Well, Captain Miller, what exactly are you planning to do here? I mean, if you can't get in contact with the Akagi, do you want us to take you back out, back to Starfleet, or do you have any preferences? I'm assuming you don't want to continue to live here if you can't get in contact with your ship.
That's right, Commander. We're not prepared to exile ourselves here yet. Are any of you a doctor, by chance?
I have skills in that field.
Well, we could certainly use your help before we leave. The Protector, and he points to Guinevere, as he's been labeled, is a man who resides up on the hill at a structure above this town, and he seems to have a condition. Now, everyone here, and we can't get much details from them, seems to hold him with some kind of reverence. In fact, they're asking us to deliver them from him. It's a mystery, and with everything else that's going on, I can't help but wonder if he's tied into this somehow. Mr. Zarya has at least a cursory evaluation of his mental health, but I feel like there's probably something physical going on there too, but none of our, and he looks at a tricorder that he's got in his hand, and you can tell this tricorder is very out of date. Our instruments just stopped working not long ago, and we've really hit a dead end.
Very well. Take us there. But I believe time is of the essence, because if you think that you've only been here for a day, there are things we need to do.
Indeed, and also the creature known as Morgan Le Fay, well, she is somewhere in the town. We had a bit of a disagreement, I should say. She has been quite vague on her involvement with all of this. She identified herself, if actually calling it a her is correct, she identified herself as a trickster. She looks different from the rest of the villagers, and we think that she is from elsewhere. They've all been speaking in riddles, though. And he looks at you, Alan, notices a phaser that you're wearing. He says, "I take it that's a weapon that you're carrying."
That's right.
You might want to keep it handy. I can't say for certain that we are completely out of danger here.
I got it, Captain.
And he says to Guinevere, "Well, Guinevere, at your leave, if you don't mind, we'll go see Merlin. If you happen to run across Morgan, if you can ask her to stay put, I'm sure we'll have some more questions for her."
Wait, and I point to Guinevere. Are you a human?
She kind of turns her head to the side and she says, "I don't know what you mean. I am what I am."
Okay, got it.
And Miller kind of shakes his head. He's like, "Yeah, that's the kind of answers we've been getting."
It's
So-
at this point that I think Harlock is. Is there a window in this building?
Yeah, there are several windows.
Or this room, I should say.
Yeah, the building has lots of windows, yeah.
I'd like to go to a window and sort of observe the other people out and about. Um, Specifically looking to see not just their tech level, but in Harlock's mind, he's looking for a tell, as in something that would indicate that this is either like almost like an advanced hologram or maybe some form of um, simulation in general. I'm trying to think of the word that isn't holographic, but it's just not coming to me right now. Basically, I'm looking for a tell that would indicate that something about this is artificial. Maybe, maybe the quote unquote NPCs of the village are like stuck in like conversation loops, or maybe they continually go between two places, not really doing anything. Little things that would indicate that this is artificial in nature.
Sure. Why don't you give me an engineering insight difficulty of 2?
Sure. This is not a good stat for him, so I'm gonna spend that 1 momentum if everybody's okay with that. Hey, 3 successes, nice.
What you notice is all the villagers are they've recovered from the shock of seeing you and they've all gone back to their normal lives, it seems. What you've noticed quickly through looking around, Harlock, and I can, of course, answer more questions if you want to spend that momentum, but you notice that no one is working. So normally when you go to a town, there's people doing something. There's somebody cleaning, there's somebody cooking, there's somebody making something. The things that people just have to do during the day, especially in a place that has this kind of technology, someone's got to be cooking to feed all these people. Someone's got to be cleaning, somebody's got to be building stuff. No one is actually doing any work. They all seem to be conversing, and you pick up, what sounds like actual conversations, but no one is doing any work.
And I think after I see all this, I'm gonna come back and report what I just saw to everybody, and I say, the more I'm seeing of things, the more that I feel as if there's I don't want to say an intelligence, but something that is not right here. There's no work being done in this settlement, which does not make sense.
I would agree. There's definitely something off.
Guinevere says, "I'm sorry that our town does not meet your expectations."
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with your town. It's just different. Could we be taken to see this Merlin?
And Miller kind of looks at Guinevere as she doesn't reply, and he says, "Yeah, if you follow me, I'll fill you guys in on what we've gotten out of Merlin." As you all leave, I guess, to walk towards the tower, Miller is walking you guys up a set of stairs leading to, we'll say it's like this tower. It's an area that's higher up than the rest of the town. It's kind of up on a hill. And the structure seems to be pretty tall, but it fits the rest of the style of the town. But as Miller is, he's leading the way, he's stopping to talk to you guys. And he says, "Well, what we've gotten from Merlin, he seems to have a condition to where he forgets everything that we've said to him after a matter of time. But what we continually hear from him is he's looking for someone named Arthur, and he's saying we have to return the sword to the stone." If you're not tired of the metaphor yet, it doesn't get any better, I'm sorry to say. That's about all we've been able to get out of him. He's actually shown us an actual stone in his tower that he's telling us we need to return the sword to, and that once we do that, we will die. Yeah.
Oh,
That's what he said.
so he wants the sword to be returned. He wants everyone here to die?
I'm not sure if he wants everyone to die. Well, and then Zarya speaks up. "Yes, Captain, I think the impression I got was whoever returns the sword to the stone, that's the one that's going to die."
Hold on. And Harlock sort of rubs his head. If this is the Arthurian legend, and I remember my teachings correctly, the whole point about returning the sword was that Benevere? I think it was Benevere. The whole point was that when the sword was returned, Merlin wouldn't have to worry about the Arthurian legends anymore. It was one of those things where, if I remember correctly, Merlin was, and he thinks for a moment, was he supposedly half incubus? The point is that he wasn't human to begin with, and something about returning the sword would allow him to leave this reality. It's been quite a long while since I read up on this sort of thing. I apologize, I don't have much more information.
Mr. Harlock, that's a very useful insight, actually. He did mention Bedivere bringing the sword at some point. It didn't help us very much, but he did mention it. So, yeah, maybe we can get more from him.
This might seem an odd question, but has anyone pretended to be Bedivere and or Arthur?
Riley kind of laughs. Yeah, we tried that. It didn't work. And Miller kind of stammers. He says, I did a really bad Arthur impression, but I tried. And at this point, you guys have made your way up the stairs to the tower. The door's open, and you can see inside the tower is an old man. He has if you were to imagine what Merlin would look like, it would look something like this. He looks human. He's got long white hair, a long white beard. He looks very frail, in fact, and he's kind of hunched over with age. And he's piddling about the inside of his tower, messing with some books and things that are pretty much covering the interior. And much like Miller said, there is a revealed stone, like an altar almost, in the center of the tower. As Merlin walks around, he looks up. I'd say he catches his eye on you, Talek, and he says, Arthur, is it you?
Yes, Merlin. I don't have the sword, but I heard you were looking for me.
Ah, you've come to Avalon. Yes, the sword.
Yes.
You have the sword. We must return it to the stone.
I don't have the sword, but yeah, guys, I don't know what to do.
Testra is going to scan for the third human life sign that we picked up. Because originally we had picked up 3 humans and a Denobulan. And we've only seen 2 humans and a Denobulan.
Actually, it occurs to me that the other person on the away team was Fredrickson, who I did not make a token for. So we're going to say the human you detected was actually Merlin.
Okay.
Merlin, can you show me the stone where the sword is supposed to go, and just tell me what's happened since I've been gone?
And Merlin motions to the stone altar that's in the middle of his room. Why, of course, here's the stone, Arthur. You should remember.
I'm going to scan. I'm assuming there's a slot in it. I'm going to scan for the metals or shavings from within the slot. And then going to extrapolate to find out if we can scan outside of it for that material, that metal.
Why don't you give me a reason science difficulty of 3, and you do have a focus.
All right, I'm going to use our 1 momentum.
Go for it.
As you raise your tricorder to start scanning it, there's just an intense amount of interference, and your tricorder just doesn't even register anything in the room at all.
He's going to try to collect any sort of metal from any sort of shavings or residue from within the slot, maybe to use it later.
You don't actually see any.
I think Alan is gonna kind of sneak around the side here, this way. Just kind of looking around, like poking at items, just to see like if this is all real and see if there's anything hidden.
I'm trying to remember. I think when you tried this before, ELH made you do a security control, maybe. I think it's security control difficulty 4.
Security control. I am skilled in investigations.
Perfect.
I don't really think any of my values apply though.
I mean, maybe fortune favors the bold. You're kind of just going for it.
Sure, let's do it. Let's burn a determination. And then I'll roll. Was it control security?
Yeah.
Okay. Hoping for a crit. Oh,
Nice.
got
5
it.
successes. Very good. Like a cat, Alan, you managed to make your way around the view of Merlin and everyone else. The rest of you don't even notice that Alan's not there. But Alan, as you poke around, looks like mostly books, not too much to catch your attention. But then out of the corner of your eye, you notice something shiny, and you turn your head and you notice that it is a piece of metal that's reflecting from some of the candlelight here in the corner. And as you look over, it looks like a piece of a hull from a starship. And there is some lettering, some writing on the outside.
I think my first response to that is to pull out my tricorder and try to scan it, which I assume is now filled with interference.
It is filled with interference. I'll make you do, if you do an engineering control, difficulty will be 2.
Now, this is an investigation. Do I get a focus for that?
Yeah, I'd count it. Sure. Perfect. So this
I did not expect that to work.
This close, the tricorder gives you actually some readings, and it assembles the rest of the lettering because some of it's cut off for you. And what it comes back as is a name, the name of a vessel. The name is the Black Sea. And the tricorder library returns that very quickly to you. That was the name of an old DY-100 vessel back from the early 2000s that launched from Earth.
Like a sleeper ship?
Yeah, sleeper ship, and this is part of the hull.
Am I able to send that information to Commander Telek's tricorder?
Yeah, I think you can do that.
So I will do that, and then I will continue like kind of slowly making my way around the back, just looking for anything that's out of place.
Until like your tricorder beeps and you open and you look at it and you kind of look up and you notice you didn't even realize he was doing this, like stealthily creeping over like a panther is Alan in the back of the room. You could hardly even see him, but he sent you something on your tricorder, and it's this information that he had about the hull plating and the information he's gotten from it.
Because at this point, I'm trying to remember where I left you guys off without metagaming.
I honestly don't remember where we ended, and I'm
just
trying
want to say
think that myself.
I worked really hard to get not only the image that we saw in the previous scene, but this image to match exactly what we had on Akagi.
Oh no! If you had asked, I would have gladly given it to you.
I didn't want to give it away though.
For effort.
No, it was a secret.
Yeah, you definitely get an A for effort here.
Screenshot and Google image search. That's how I got it.
I'm trying to think, what would we do with this information? Oh, I think I remember where we were. So, just to be clear, who gets the information from Alan, just so that I don't metagame it?
I think we said just Telek so far.
Yeah, just me.
Okay.
I did want to forward the information to everybody else though, since I am kind of busy talking to Merlin. I don't know if he would be happy with me, like, trawling through my tricorder while I'm talking to him.
In
Oh,
front
you're
of
Arthur.
him,
You're the king. You can do whatever you want.
I'm trying to be nice.
Are you going to show anything to Miller or the Akagi crew, or are you just going to keep it amongst yourselves?
I think if Harlock gets the information, he'll show it to Miller kind of as a sidebar. Doing the best, sort of over here where the stairs is, kind of blocking view.
And Miller says to you, Harlock, this matches actually. We detected the remains of a DH or DY-100 vessel from orbit. I don't know exactly what that means for Merlin or the rest of the inhabitants here. They're not human. That's all I can tell you. I can't imagine they came from that vessel.
Sir, I'm going to propose a rather drastic course of action. And I say this to Miller, not anyone else, because Miller is the ranking officer here, even if he's a few centuries out of date.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Captain Miller, this is going to sound strange, but I think we need to find a cat.
Yeah, the only person that seems to have any answers here is Morgan. I don't like the thing that Merlin said about someone dying. I don't want to leave anyone here with Merlin alone, but I think we do need to find Morgan.
And I think Harlock is just going to sort of nod, sort of make eye contact with his his actual commanding officers, motion towards the door, and Harlock is going to step out if allowed and go start looking for a black cat.
Yeah, and Tilek will give you a nod as you start leaving. Oh. But this is out of character. Do we all want to go together?
Honestly, I think it works that if you stay here, like if we're gonna talk out of character, I think it works if you all stay here, continuing to search Merlin's place and keeping Merlin distracted. Then Harlock can basically go find the cat, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm very conflicted because on one hand, I'm probably the best suited to find what we're looking for with my skills, but I don't think Alan would leave two members of the crew unprotected. Because the crew of the Akagi said their weapons and equipment were working, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think I'll come back around slowly, but I'll stay here.
I was also thinking we don't know how long until Merlin basically restarts this conversation. So this might happen while Harlock is gone.
Does this
Mhm.
staircase go up further?
I think it goes down, actually. That maybe it does go up, but not very far. It's more like a loft area. It doesn't go up to the top of the tower. But there are stairs off to the side that go down. But you can't tell where they go.
I'm very tempted to go explore that. I'll remain here for a moment.
I'll go with Harlock since he needs. That way we. That way we have a
Two and
even
two?
split.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, no complaints here.
All right, and as you guys split off, Tessera and Harlock, as you leave the tower heading back down into Glastonbury, Merlin turns to you, Tilek, and he says, "Are you Arthur? Have you brought the sword?"
I Yes, but I don't have the sword with me, Merlin.
And as you repeat your
I'm not
conversation
sure.
again, we'll maybe move to
Yeah.
the next scene. I won't torture you that way.
Thank you.
So Tessera and Harlock, as you make your way down the stairs, you see most of the town square has been deserted, and standing really towards the center near the tree is a female. She doesn't look anything like anyone else. She has very pale skin, she has red eyes, long purple hair, and she's just kind of leaning against the tree, just watching you walking down the stairs.
I think Carla looks to Tassara and says, "Uh, you want me to take this one, sir, or you got it?"
You seem to have an idea of what you're going for, so I'll back you.
Thank you, sir. And honestly, no, I would just say that as a child growing up, I enjoyed the Arthurian legends. So most of this is very long ago in my past, but I'll do my best. To sort of give you a
I
primer.
I am unfamiliar with the legends, your Earth legends, so
Well, let me give you a primer then. Morgan Le Fay, if she's who I think she is sort of the main reason why King Arthur fell. Well, I guess you could argue that it was really the fault of Lancelot and Arthur having a child out of wedlock. There's a whole lot of debate if you really wanted to get into it. The point being, she is supposedly, again, these are legends, a sorceress of quite well renown. I don't know what she would be capable of.
well, let's see what kind of sorcery we might be dealing with.
And she looks up and she says, "Did you have more that you want to discuss? Should I continue to pretend like I don't hear you?"
And I think Harlock sort of does almost like a courteous sort of bow in front of her, and before coming right back up and says, "My apologies, Miss Le Fay, if I may call you that. Of course, we should have expected you've been listening in this entire time."
And she nods to your bow and she says, "Such courtesy. Something I'd quite forgotten about." It's all right. I knew that you just arrived. It's no surprise to me.
So I don't really know where to begin. What can you tell us about Merlin?
Merlin. Let's see. I am the one who led the original Arthur to Avalon.
That sounds about right. Avalon being the garden outside of time, if I remember correctly.
Indeed, and she looks around. You could say that.
Okay, all right. So, if I understand correctly, this is Avalon?
That is the name that I've given it, yes.
Okay. So, if I'm following everything correctly, it's because this is Merlin's time to actually, kick the bucket.
She says, "What you see may not necessarily be the truth. It could be something designed for your mind to understand it. But the analogy is still the same. Back to the Arthurian legend, when Merlin passed, so did Avalon. But of course, there was always the option for a new Merlin and for Avalon to continue. But you have to ask yourself, if Avalon were to continue, what would that have meant for the Arthurian legend? Nothing lasts forever, ever. At least nothing healthy does. Life and death are a cycle that's very natural."
In a way, if I follow your metaphor, the Merlin, and I do sort of air quotes, the Merlin that is in the tower isn't the original Merlin, but it's someone else who has assumed the role. Do I have that right, Miss Le Fay?
Correct. Merlin is more of a position than a person.
This is going to sound even stranger, Miss LeFay, but is there a way to take over the role?
Indeed, you'd have to return the sword to the stone.
And I think Harlock looks at Tassara and then looks back at LeFay and says, "You wouldn't happen to have that sword, would you?"
You arrived with everything that you need. But heed my warning. If Merlin is replaced, Avalon will continue to exist. Such a thing is not natural in the course of time and history. All things are born and all things die.
A moment, Miss LeFay. And I sort of pull Tassara aside, fully aware that she's going to listen in anyway. And I say, "Sir, I'm honestly not sure what to do here. My instinct says that someone should assume the role of Merlin, as it is supposed to be a timeless job, from what I remember. But at the same time, it's trapping entities, beings, ourselves here. I'm at a loss. Do we find this sword and basically assume the role of Merlin, or do we? I don't want to put it this way. Do we show Merlin that it's time to go?
Mistress LeFay, the people that are not of here, what happens to them if Avalon is renewed?
She looks around. Everything you see will stay here. Actually, Tessera, if you can give me a medicine insight, difficulty of 1.
Okay. I don't suppose I have a focus.
I don't think so. So with your 1 success, you as you've been talking to Morgan, other people from the village have come out of their houses or the towers and stuff, and you notice, and you finally just put this all together, you haven't actually seen any children anywhere. It's all been, young adult, middle-aged, no old people apart from Merlin. Everyone seems to be like really healthy looking, no children, no with any injuries or disabilities or anything like that.
Oh, I remember where I was going to go with this. Okay, so of course I don't know what GM Josh is doing with this, but tree in the middle of the circle is white, yeah?
Yeah, it's white.
Harlock is going to turn back to Morgan and ask, "Do you have something I could carve a bit of wood off this tree with?" Oh, did I cut out?
Tessera, you have
No.
you have a phaser, you have a few things he could use.
What about a scalpel?
No, I need something that I could make a wooden sword out of.
Oh. I guess we could try to use our phasers to carve a sword.
No, I have a feeling that if we use phasers, Merlin will find out about it.
Oh, we are in a. He's going to go over to. He's actually just going to scan around real quick for shop.
There's really not much that you see. Like again, is no one here is doing any work, so they don't have any tools or anything. They're just mostly hanging around, talking. Some people are laughing, but no one is actually really doing anything.
Because they're all in medieval dress.
Mhm.
Does anyone have a knife or a sword?
You don't see anything.
Well, sir, if carving a sword is out of the question, maybe we need to think about this from more of a analogy standpoint. And Harlock sort of pulls out his
Oh.
phaser and sort of waves it around just to,
I was
show it
thinking
off.
a weapon is a weapon. Was
Exactly.
my thought as well.
If we were to put the sword, quote unquote, into the pedestal, I think it would work. But if what Morgan here says is correct, whoever does put the sword in becomes Merlin.
Yeah.
And Morgan
Continue
laughs
to
and she
talk.
says, Morgan laughs and she
Continue-
says, "It's so interesting to watch you reason this out. Please continue."
Continue to speak with Miss LaFay. I'll go and share our insights with the others.
Of course, sir.
He is going to head back.
Harlock leaving you alone with LaFay. So before we cut to another scene, did you have anything you wanted to ask her?
Yeah, there's just one. Harlock sort of scratches the back of his head and says, "So, settle a really, really old bet with me. What was it you used to tempt Lancelot in the beginning?"
And she says, "You think I tempted Lancelot? All I did was give him the opportunity to do what he always wanted to do. He still made the choice, which actually is what this is all about. Choice."
Hmm. Yeah, let's see how this unfolds.
And as we cut back to the tower, you guys in the meantime have really gone in circles with Merlin. He continues to ask you, "Are you Arthur? Do you have the sword? Return the sword to the stone." The only thing that he breaks out of sometimes that you get pretty far to like is he says, "When you return the sword to the stone, your time will be over." That's the only new thing that he said, but you have to go pretty far and he usually resets. You're all deeply frustrated when Tessera, you make your way back into the tower.
I believe that Harlock has some useful information. I will. I'll entertain Merlin while you all go and speak with Harlock.
Thank you, Commander. We'll go do so right away. And good luck.
Is there any sort of crew manifest for that ship in our databanks?
Yeah, for Akagi, yeah, I'd say there would be.
No, for the what was it called? The transport.
The Black Sea. You don't have a complete manifest because it's so old. You have a crew count.
Okay, but no like descriptions of or pictures of the crew.
You do have a picture of some of the crew, yeah.
I think during this time while Tessera and Harlock were outside talking to Morgan, Alan would have been just sifting through the images and seeing if any of them sort of match Merlin. Obviously, he's probably much older than he was at the time, but it's just a hunch.
You do uncover one. It looks like a young child, like maybe preteens. Kind of looks like him. Now, that could mean that's either him or like a relative, but he does resemble the child that's on the record.
And could I do some sort of CSI BS with the tricorder to like match up like the bone structure of the face or something?
Like zoom and enhance.
Yeah.
The computer does make a composite for you, the tricorder does, with a reasonable amount of certainty. Now, if you could get him into, if you could actually do a scan of him, or you could get him into a sickbay, you could reduce the amount of error from this estimate quite a bit. But it says within a reasonable level of doubt that it's probably the young child. But probably the young child aged some 500 years.
Okay. I will just pocket that information until we leave the room.
And Commander Telek, we should also check on the shuttle and make sure that it is still capable.
In working order, I can do that.
Commander, do you think we're going to be needing to make some sort of quick exit here?
It is quite possible. I believe Harlock is onto something.
All right.
So, Tessera, I think we're going to leave you and head back into the town.
So I think as we walk down to this, the area around the tree here, I'll fill everyone in on my hunch here that Merlin may be the last remaining survivor from that transport, and then show him that what's on my tricorder.
And Zarya says, if he's a human and he's that old, it really makes sense why he would be having so many problems. She says, to her knowledge, no human has ever lived that long.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone living that long either, at least human. But maybe something's keeping him alive artificially. Maybe it needs some sort of mind to keep this, whatever this is, going.
And
But I
you
don't know.
Harlock sort of looks at everyone, and you just left Sarah alone.
Oh, he's got a phaser.
That's kind of my point, actually. Someone probably should stay with him.
And Morgan looks up as the rest of you arrive and she says, if you're going to make a decision, you should make a decision soon. It'll be interesting to see what you choose.
Well, this is Morgan, I assume. Why do you say that? What's going to happen if we take too long?
She kind of motions around and she says, why change, of course?
What kind of change?
As I've already spelled out to your friends, the choice is before you now, David Allen. To return the sword to the stone and keep things as they are, or to risk change. Change
I think
is
it's this. I think this Harlock is going to take off running back to the tower.
And she looks around, continuing her monologue. She says, change is very key to the fabric of the universe. No system can remain stagnant. So ask yourself, what will you do? You alone, and she looks at all of you, have the choice. To return the sword to the stone and take the place of Merlin, or to allow all that you see here to go to the next stage.
And the next stage is...
She says, who can really know? I have a theory, but I could be wrong.
Well, lay it out for us. We're scientists. We're explorers.
She laughs. It's
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
And she says, think of it like evolution. You've encountered species before that have evolved, some that have evolved into something else, some that have fought evolution by just assimilating the better parts of other cultures. That's all that change is evolution. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Alan will kind of throw up his hands a little bit and turn to Commander Telek and say, Commander, I'm very confused.
We should probably go follow Harlock. I'm sure the commander is waiting for us anyway when we get back.
Before we leave, can I once again try to get contact with the shuttle and make sure its systems are operating properly?
You open your communicate, or you tap your comm badge or try to sync with your tricorder, and you get nothing. Like, it's just static.
Oh yeah, that happened before. I forgot. All right, I will follow. We're just going up and down these stairs.
It's good exercise, guys.
It's working off the hot dogs.
Yeah, gotta work off those hot dogs. Yeah, as soon as everyone left, Tesra kneeled before Merlin and said, "I'm sorry that I am late," and pulled his phaser out and tried to put it in the stone.
Okay.
Oh God.
So, Tesra, that won't actually be a roll if you want to do that. Do you want to put the phaser into the stone, or do you want to shoot it?
He's going to try to put the phaser in the stone.
Okay. As you put the phaser in the stone, it just sits in the little slot.
All right, and then failing that, he's gonna shoot the damn thing.
Before you shoot it, I'm going to have everyone else arrive on scene. Actually, Harlock, I'll give you the first interjection if you like, with everyone else coming right behind you. You run in, you see Tesra has his phaser in the slot, and he's like standing there, and he's kind of making a motion to grab it to fire it.
Commander, you might not want to.
I'm going to blow up the stone. If you wish to help.
And Merlin says, "At last, Arthur, return the sword to the stone. Your time will be over."
And he sets the phaser to kill and is going to shoot the stone.
So the rest of you arrive as this is happening. Yeah, you see Tesra doing something with his phaser in the stone.
I'll turn to Chief Harlock. Chief? Like, incredulous. I don't know what's going on here.
If I understand it, the commander here wants to assume the role of Merlin.
I'll draw my phaser and point it at Tiscara, but I'll look to Commander Talek. I think I also have an idea of what's going to happen, and but I don't want to make that decision.
Commander, please don't destroy this stone before we know exactly what will happen when you do. Unless
We
you have
do
a
not
better
know
idea than we
exactly.
do.
I am thinking that all of you need to head out to the shuttle as quickly as possible, and upon destroying the stone, you will all be released, and I will stay here. Rather than all of us staying here like they have. And he waves at the others.
And Merlin actually falls to his knees and collapses to the floor. And he's looking at you, Tesra, and he reaches forward and he says, "Don't let Avalon die. Don't let Avalon die." And he closes his eyes.
I suggest you get moving.
Miller speaks up and he says, "If we're going to trust Morgan, who, if I can remember right, has never actually lied to us, she said that if we take the role of Merlin, we're replacing Merlin and keeping this place as it is. She hasn't said what happens if we let Merlin die. Just said it's evolution, as vague as that is."
Well, we can see what happens if Merlin dies if you want. But all of these life forms
Are
are in jeopardy in that regard.
By taking his place, are we interfering in a species' natural evolution?
And Miller looks to you, Alan, when you say that. That's a very good point. By the Prime Directive, anything we do here is interference. However, if this is a civilization that's asked for our help, and they have, we can help them if we can figure out what that help would be.
Oh man, it's always confusing when it comes to the Prime Directive.
They have said repeatedly that they want to be free of Merlin.
So then replacing Merlin wouldn't be what they're actually asking for.
No. Do we want to shoot Merlin instead?
No, we do not want to shoot Merlin.
And Zarya
That
looks
sounds
up.
like a bad idea, a bad time.
Zarya checks Merlin's pulse, and she says, whatever we're gonna do, Captain," she says to Miller, "we need to do it now. He's almost gone."
I think we need to head to the shuttle as quickly as possible then. Because if this place implodes upon itself as part of its evolution, we don't want to be here.
I think that's fair. We should head out to the shuttle.
Actually, you know what? Harlock's gonna try his comm badge. Can he get to the shuttle?
He still can't. Still static.
Okay. Then yeah, I think unless anyone orders Harlock to do otherwise, yeah, Harlock's gonna go for the shuttle.
All right. I guess we're going to hup it.
And Miller says to you, "If you guys don't mind, we could sure use a ride."
Yeah, we got room.
And as you're racing down the steps, again, the ground starts to shake actually beneath your feet, and the sky darkens a bit. And you hear the villagers. They're kind of looking to the sky. They all looked very panicked. The whole serene nature of the village is completely changed. They all look at the sky, and you notice that Morgan's still at the silver tree, just kind of looking around. And then a strange thing happens. The sky gets very, very bright, and the villagers themselves actually start to turn. They actually start glowing brighter and brighter, and they become a little more translucent. And as they become more translucent, the outlines of their bodies change and kind of coalesce into shining forms, like shining balls of light for each of them. And then one by one, the balls of light go up into the sky. This all happens very quickly. As you guys are all standing before the white tree, you notice all of the inhabitants of the village are going up into the sky, all except for Morgan. And after a moment, the brightness of the sky fades away, all of the lights go, and there's a deathly quiet over the village. It's just you guys and Morgan.
Can we reach the shuttle now?
You have it. You're still in the middle of the village. And Morgan said,
with the communicator.
Actually, yeah, you actually have a beep on your comm badge, Telek, and you hear it's a communication from the Hyperion asking for you guys to check in.
Is this working now? Hello? Hyperion? This is Telek.
Yeah, what's going on down there? You went and missed your first check-in.
I'm not sure how to summarize this shortly, but we will be bringing 3 other members of Starfleet back up with us that seem to have been stranded here, I suppose I would say, unless you see the USS Akagi around, and we will be heading towards the shuttle shortly.
The Akagi, that wouldn't happen to be an Excelsior class, would it?
Yes, it would. That's why this is very unusual.
Well, that would explain why a 80-some-odd-year-old ship is sitting outside on the other side of the planet from us. We took a high orbit to avoid their sensors. I anticipated some time shenanigans. As far as I know, they don't know we're here yet.
Are they? Is their crew still alive?
The
I
crew.
have a sneaking suspicion that if this is time related, what's going to happen is when we both leave, we're going to return to our respective times.
That would make sense.
In fact, Miller opens his communicator, and you hear a very disgruntled voice saying to him, "Captain, what the hell are you doing down there? I told you that you shouldn't go. You should have stayed on the ship." And Miller says, "Hey, number one, everything's fine. Keep the ship where you are. Don't head towards any of the poles, especially the northern pole of the planet. I'll check in just a moment. Yeah, there might be a surprise up there that we shouldn't get on our sensor logs." But Morgan says to you all collectively, and she says, "I have to say, I'm quite surprised. I expected your Starfleet nobility to take over. I expected a sacrifice, someone to throw themselves in bravely to try to save the people."
Oh, I was ready.
I mean, to be frank, Morgan Le Fay, your test wasn't that much of a test. Even with our lofty Starfleet values, as you put it, keeping these people around in such a state isn't life, it's stagnation.
And she says, "Indeed. As I said before, evolution is change. It can be painful at times, scary, but it is necessary."
So I guess my question is, Miss Le Fay, where do you go from here?
And she says, I have places, other things that need my attention."
Is Morgan your real name?
She says, "Of course not."
What is your real name?
And she laughs. And she says, "Do you really think that David Allen is your real name?" And as she's laughing, she slowly vanishes and disappears.
Well, it's the name my parents gave me. Weird. Well, I guess if Captain Miller here has contact with his ship, maybe he can just maybe they don't need to come with us. Maybe they could just transport aboard their ship
Yeah,
just to
I think
prevent any
that's-
sort of them seeing anything that they shouldn't see.
yeah, I do agree, sir, that that's probably the wisest course of action.
Captain, are you prepared to beam back aboard your own ship, or do you have your own shuttle?
And Raleigh says, "Well, we've synced up with Akagi. We can beam back. Apparently Mr. Zines did still scan the pole of the planet, but I think we can probably wipe that from our sensor logs. But yeah, we have a transporter. We could always beam back to the ship."
Great. In which case, I hope that the rest of your mission goes well.
And Miller says, "Indeed, it's good to see that the future of Starfleet is in such good hands."
Is it though?
And Miller says, "Give my regards to your captain, but for you two," he looks to Raleigh and Zarya, "let's get home." And he flips up in his communicator, says a few words, and the three of them beam up.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be using those old transporters.
It does take them quite a while to dematerialize, it's true.
Having my molecules scrambled like that. I heard those old units had a 0.000.5 matter loss. Ugh.
Well, that would explain why Captain Kirk is always shorter in person than he was in Starfleet official logs.
But with that, we move back to the bridge. For our last scene, you guys see the Akagi. She's pulling away from the planet. You did get a communication from Mr. Miller just wishing you guys a safe journey, and you see the ship moving away to go to warp.
And Nix just sort of nods as everyone gets in the bridge and says, well, I look forward to reading what I'm sure is going to be a very interesting report. How are we looking? Are we back in our own universe? Are we outside the subspace node? What's going on out there?
Actually, Tessera, you can't really tell. The Akagi's heading in one direction. You don't know.
We'll be able to tell once you don't see that ship anymore, Captain.
Right. Well, the moment it's gone, let's get going in the opposite direction.
And in a flash, you see the Akagi disappear, going to somewhere.
If
Yeah.
I bring up the logs, the history of the USS Akagi, does it still show it as missing?
It still shows it as missing.
Interesting.
Well, Helm, take us out of orbit.
Telek, you notice on your armchair that you've gotten a transmission actually from Commander Zines, the first officer on the Akagi. He sent you a file, and he said in the transmission, keep this safe. And as you look at the file, it opens and executes itself, and immediately on the main viewer, you see a starfield. And Starfield pauses there for a moment, and springing to life on the view screen are the words Star Wars, which then quickly fade away into the starfield in the back, and you see up a scrolling text field coming up from the bottom that says Attack of the Clones. And then immediately, the lights on the bridge go out, the view screen goes out, and just the emergency lights come on. And with that, that's where we will end this session. If you remember, Attack of the Clones had a virus on it, and Zines rescued the only copy, which he has now transmitted to your ship.